Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for taking out the time to share your experience with myself and others who might be considering enrolling in the 8-week sales mastery course. So I'd love it if you could share where are you at in the country and what does your firm specialize in?
I am in the Atlanta, Georgia area. We actually do remote, so we don't just do our local area. And we do bookkeeping and CFO and advisory services.
Awesome. So what were the biggest challenges or what were things like in your firm before you started working with me as it related to your sales process, your pricing, and really growing your firm? And where were you stuck?
Oh my gosh. So over this past year, we were really just kind of, it's like we hit this plateau, if you will.
Yeah.
And we just really weren't going anywhere further. And I was finding that it was actually starting to create a huge financial crunch. And it was definitely impacting me personally, because I wasn't being able to pay myself very much.
Oh,
So it was getting kind of at that critical point, and I was like, okay, sales and getting our pricing. I knew that needed to improve, and I knew that I just needed to be able to bring in more to be able to continue not only helping the clients that we have, but
yeah.
obviously me and my team.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the biggest thing. And as far as sales process, we kind of really didn't have much of one.
And maybe that's why you plateaued and things were kind of dwindling backwards and you couldn't pay
Yep.
yourself. So what was the moment, if you can remember, where you said, I need to do something about this? I can no longer continue going this way in my firm.
Um, the moment. Honestly, it was just I was just struggling financially, especially for myself, and I was seeing the effect that it was having at home, and with my husband and me, and the burden it was putting on us, as well as obviously, the effect it was having on the business.
Mhm.
I mean, it was just getting too much, and we were getting more and more where our sales calls were just not generating, or we weren't getting the engagements, and it was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to wing it, and the winging was no longer working, so I said something has to happen, and I decided to put on my big girl pants and make something happen. I was like, I can't play this game anymore. It's got to happen. I got to take this serious. So
I love it that you put your big girl pants on and reached out for help. What other programs or coaches did you try, or what other things did you try to make work before you put on your big girl pants and reached out to us for some support?
um before this, honestly, I just didn't think about the sales side of it.
Right.
I was just I was reading books, and I was trying to avoid, to be honest, I was just trying to avoid. And then I realized, you know what, I needed to do this. And then so I had basically heard about you a couple times, and I had thought about it, and hemmed and hawed, and decided, you know what, I just need to reach out and let's see what this is about. So.
Yeah. And so you heard about me a couple times, right? What would you say, Mary, was your initial skepticism and what led you to decide to jump in and, take your firm to the next level and just make drastic changes like you have?
That's a good question. I think I I didn't see it as a problem
Mm.
that related to that, which I know in hindsight it feels silly that I was thinking that way,
Yeah, but I
but I
think
do
this
see that
is
now.
really important, Mary, to share because I think a lot of firm owners are in your boat. They don't see this as a problem in their firm and they didn't connect the dots that this is actually sales. So can you
Yeah.
speak on that a little bit?
So, I mean, I kept trying to focus in on the marketing and the leads and things like that, but I didn't realize that, I mean, we were getting some people in, but it just wasn't resulting in anything. And so, um, like I said, initially when I hear things, etc., I was like, oh, I don't really need that. But then when I stopped and said, okay, there's a problem here. I've really got to take a look at this. And then started thinking about, one of my team members said, look, I keep getting these leads in for it. What's happening? And so that's what made me stop and really look. And then I started looking at your website and your podcast and things like that. And that's really kind of what made me go, you know what? I need to stop playing around.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of times, and many firm owners think, I don't have a sales problem. I just need more leads. I just need to do more marketing. When in reality, you have a
Yeah.
conversion problem. You weren't converting
Yes.
the leads into. So now that you don't have a conversion problem, what has been the success that you've improved on and just in the last few weeks being with us here at the Abundant Accountant?
Wow. Well, the biggest thing was even our current clients being able to convert them, so to speak,
Yeah.
improving like what I do for them.
Yeah.
I already wanted to, but I just wasn't taking the right steps. And I wasn't having the full conversation, and that was really eye-opening, especially with the first one. I was like, wow, the conversation that we had based off of this process just I think was eye-opening to her, but it was also very eye-opening to me to like really learn like, oh wow, no, she really does need this level of service. So it was great actually. It was I think it made us have a whole new even connection as client and
Yeah. You created
provider.
a new client experience where they actually
Yeah.
felt different about the process. So what's been your biggest wins and biggest victories financially so far?
She would have to have been my biggest one. We went from just a really ridiculously low financial bookkeeping on a monthly. It's almost embarrassingly low. I'll just say that we increased it by $1,300 a month, which is like 15,000 plus something per year is
Yeah.
how much we increased her alone. I mean, she was our biggest win by far.
Yes. And there's just
Yep.
so many more coming. So
Yes.
I'd love it if you could
Yep.
share, Mary, because you said you were struggling financially, right? It was putting a
Hmm.
burden on the family. What was
Hmm.
your initial objection joining the Abundant Accountant and our 8 week sales mastery course to change the way you've been doing it? Yeah, you put your big girl pants on, but you also had to invest time and money. So what was your
Yes.
initial objection?
That's a good,
Or-
yeah. So that the timing for me was it was time was actually a oh my gosh, am I doing this at the right time? Because it was going, for a bookkeeping firm, it was in December going into January going, oh my God, this is our craziest time. But
yeah,
I was like, you know what, I can't wait any longer. And then the other one was obviously a financial. It was definitely like I'm already hurting. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I knew that if I did not take this step, the business is not going to continue. I mean, that's how I literally looked at it at that point is if I can't start making this change,
yeah.
drastic things would have to happen across this next year. And I wanted them to go up instead of down.
Hmm. Yeah. And I love that, Mary. And I think, you invested the time going into your 1099 season as a bookkeeper, and you just said
Hmm.
it's got to change and look at the change you've made. So I'm really proud of you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
what would you tell someone who might be thinking about talking to us, but financially they don't have it together. They don't have any time, but they're serious about taking their firm to the next level, but they don't really know what to do. What would you tell someone who might be in your shoes where you were just 6, 7 weeks ago?
I would say you need to invest the time. You need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in your firm. If this is really what you want to be doing, and then do it. And then sometimes you just have to take that step. Um, it's a leap of faith, um, but it becomes worth it when you see the changes that happen, and you be prepared for a mental change because you're going to look at things so different.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mary, for sharing your experience of working with us here in our 8 week sales mastery course. Is there anything else that maybe you didn't share that you do want to share that I just didn't ask you about, or any other last words of advice before we wrap up?
Um, Probably, but I can't think of them right now. Um, just I like stick with it. Actually, that would be what I would say is stick with it. It's a little scary at first and it's very overwhelming, especially because you're having to just change how you're thinking and looking at things. And it does feel a little overwhelming at first, but if you stick with it, you do get to through the other side, so to speak, and it all starts connecting. You're like, oh, I see, and now I know why I did this. Yes. So the biggest thing is stick with it. It will make the change.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mary, for sharing. Keep up the great work, and I can't wait till you increase more clients by 1,300 a month, and your recurring revenue will just keep going up. So thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much.